Have you ever had one of those days where everything just goes wrong? Like the kind of day that starts with a missed alarm, continues with spilled coffee on your shirt, and somehow ends with you running through a crowded train station, your chest pounding, your heart in your throat, only to watch the doors close right in front of you? Yeah, we've all been there. But what if I told you that one missed train could actually be the moment your life changes forever? What if the universe wasn't punishing you, but guiding you? What if, just beyond the frustration and chaos, someone was waiting? Someone who would shift the course of your entire existence. This is not just a love story. It's not just a story about fate. This is a story about how one split-second twist of timing turned a completely ordinary woman's life into something extraordinary. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that feels like. Hey you. Yes, you watching this. Don't scroll. Don't skip. Because what you're about to hear might just make you believe in destiny again. This isn't a fantasy. This isn't some fairy tale spun out of thin air. This happened. And what makes it even more gripping is that it could happen to you. This video will take you on a psychological ride, tapping into emotions you may have forgotten you had. You'll recognize the fear of being lost, the spark of a new beginning, the slow burn of curiosity turning into connection, and the magic of realizing that life has a way of giving you exactly what you need, just not when or how you expected it. If you've ever felt alone, misunderstood, or like life had put you on pause, this story is going to speak to you like a whisper in a quiet room. It's a feeling that builds as we go, and you need to feel all of it. So don't go anywhere. You came here looking for something, and trust me, you're about to get your answer. It all starts on a gray, wet Tuesday morning in Chicago. The kind of morning where the sky can't make up its mind and neither can you. The trains are late, people are restless, and the mood of the station feels like a bad jazz record playing on a loop. Slow, offbeat, and a little melancholy. Enter Maya, 29 years old, headphones in, eyes glued to her phone, trying not to think about the meeting she's going to miss if she doesn't make this train. She works in marketing, but her real passion? Photography. Capturing stolen moments between strangers. Little did she know, in just a few minutes, she'd become the subject of the very story she spent years trying to capture. She darts through the crowd like a thread pulling through fabric, breathless, desperate, annoyed, and then it happens. The train. The doors. Slamming shut. A final exhale of exhaust. Gone. She missed it. And just like that, her day derails. Now, here's where most people give up. Sit down. Open Instagram. Spiral. But Maya stands still. Like really still. She isn't even mad. It's like something inside her says, don't move. It's subtle, but real. And then there he is. A stranger. Tall, leather jacket, holding a coffee cup with his name scrawled on it, James. He's not staring at his phone. He's not rushing. He's not even surprised. He's looking right at her. Like he's been waiting. Like he knows something she doesn't. They lock eyes for a second too long. And something shifts. You ever meet someone and feel like you've met them before? Even when you haven't. That weird pull? That's what Maya feels. And that feeling, it's not random. It's not just attraction. It's a signpost. A pivot. And before she can look away, he smiles. Not a creepy smile. Not a polite one. But the kind that makes your chest feel tight and your brain short-circuit for a second. He takes a step forward. She should look away. But she doesn't. She doesn't want to. Here's where things get interesting. Because while Maya is over here trying to figure out who this guy is, why he feels so strangely familiar, James already knows who she is. Or at least, he thinks he does. You see, this isn't their first meeting. Not exactly. Years ago, for a moment no longer than a breath, their paths crossed. A high school event. A blurry Polaroid. A stranger in the background. And James never forgot her. Not her face. Not her presence. He's lived with this image, this question in the back of his mind. Who was she? And now, here she is, standing in front of him like an answer finally revealed. But he doesn't say that. Not yet. Because saying it too soon would ruin everything. Timing, after all, is everything. This story plays out in moments. Quiet beats between the noise of everyday life. Glances. Accidental touches. Conversations that start with nothing but end in everything. But don't be fooled. This isn't a meet-cute that goes perfectly. There are secrets here. Things Maya doesn't know. Things James has to decide whether to reveal. Their connection is deep, sure. But deep water is often dark. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, the story twists again. Because behind this chance encounter lies something far bigger. Something neither of them can see coming. So, who is James really? What does he want? What's he hiding? And what is it about Maya that made her image stay with him for all these years? More importantly, why now? Why today? Why this train? You're about to find out. But not all at once. Because the answer isn't a headline. It's a journey. A slow unraveling. A story of fate, memory, mystery, and one life-altering choice. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss a second of it. Maya didn't move for a moment. The crowd at the station thinned, leaving behind only the ambient hum of distant announcements, suitcase wheels clacking over tiles, and the lingering scent of espresso from the nearby cafe. James didn't move either. His gaze remained steady. Not intense, not invasive, just calm, sure. Like he knew this moment mattered. And yet Maya, whose mornings were always planned down to the second, suddenly found herself in no rush. The missed train was already gone. But what stayed was that strange gravity between them, subtle and quiet but impossible to ignore. It felt like standing at the edge of something and not knowing whether to step back or fall in. She finally walked toward him, unsure why, drawn by something that didn't need words. As they stood in line for coffee, small talk emerged. The weather, the lateness of trains, how the city never really sleeps, not even on rainy days. But there was a tension behind their voices, not awkward, but electric. Maya didn't usually open up quickly. She was sharp, observant, someone who kept her inner world protected like a locked journal. But there was something disarming about James. He had this energy, confident but not cocky, aware of his surroundings in a way most people weren't anymore. He noticed things, not just about her, but about the world around them. He asked questions that felt like real questions, not just filler. And Maya found herself responding in kind, revealing bits and pieces of her life she hadn't meant to share. Her love for black and white photography, how she missed her grandmother's old house in Indiana, how sometimes she felt like she was living someone else's life in the city. What Maya didn't know was that James had been searching for her for years. Not consciously, not with names or flyers or internet searches, but in a quiet, soul-level kind of way. She had passed through the background of a photo once. He had been 18, visiting Chicago on a school trip, sitting alone at a park bench when he'd accidentally snapped a picture with a disposable camera. In that photo, blurry and crooked, Maya had been walking in the background, sunlight catching her profile just right. James had never shown the photo to anyone, but he'd kept it. Over the years it became more than an image. It became a feeling. A haunting reminder of something incomplete. He didn't think he'd ever see her again. And yet here she was. Real, breathing, sitting across from him sipping a vanilla latte like it was just another Tuesday. Meanwhile, across the city, another thread of this story began to stir. A man named Lucas, a quiet, tech-savvy guy who worked in digital security for a private firm, stumbled across an anomaly in a routine system scan. It was subtle. A flagged email exchange with encrypted attachments tied to a public transportation server. Nothing alarming at first glance. But the sender's IP history? It traced back to the very train Maya was supposed to be on. Lucas didn't usually care about coincidences. But something about the timestamp, 8:47 a.m., Tuesday, got under his skin. The file was labeled simply, Echo 29. It meant nothing. And yet it felt like a breadcrumb in a trail he didn't know he was following. Lucas had no connection to Maya or James. Not yet. But that was about to change. Back at the cafe, Maya and James walked out together, the air still thick with humidity from the earlier rain. They didn't have a destination, just a shared sense of needing to walk off the energy that had bloomed between them. As they strolled past old bookstores and faded murals, Maya found herself wondering how this stranger made her feel more known than people she'd known for years. But beneath that wonder, there was also unease. Not fear. Not danger. Just a question. Why did he seem so calm? Like he'd been waiting for this exact moment? It wasn't normal. Nothing about today felt normal. James, for his part, was walking a tightrope. Every word he said was calculated to sound casual, but inside, he was a storm. How could he tell her the truth? That he'd recognized her from a blurry photo taken 10 years ago? That her face had haunted his dreams more than once? That he'd started believing maybe he imagined her entirely. Until now? He knew how insane it would sound. And more than anything, he didn't want to scare her away. So he didn't say anything. Not yet. But as they turned the corner and paused at a streetlight, Maya's phone buzzed. She looked down. Unknown number. Just one message: you weren't supposed to miss that train. She froze. The air changed. James noticed. Her smile faded. Everything okay? He asked gently. Maya didn't answer right away. She showed him the message. James's face didn't change, but inside, alarm bells went off. Whoever sent that message knew more than they should. Maybe too much. The timing wasn't random. Someone was watching. That night, Maya lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the message looping in her mind. She hadn't told James the second part, the one that came 5 minutes later. Another text. This one with an attachment. A photo. Blurry. Grainy. Of her. In the cafe. Taken from outside the window. Time-stamped. That morning. A chill ran through her. She hadn't noticed anyone taking pictures. And yet there it was. Proof. Someone had seen her. Targeted her? She didn't know. But now the missed train didn't feel like an accident. It felt like the start of something she didn't understand. In another part of the city, Lucas sat at his desk, looking again at the Echo 29 file. He decrypted the first layer and uncovered a name. Maya Lin. No last name. Just Maya. But he knew it was a lead. He'd tracked enough anomalies to know this wasn't random. Something was being covered up. Or worse, being orchestrated. The more he dug, the more it pointed towards something bigger. He didn't know it yet, but his path would soon crash into Maya's, and not everyone would come out unscathed. The next day, Maya returned to the train station. Not for work. Not for errands. But because she needed to know. Was it just coincidence, or was something else at play? James was there. Again. Almost like he'd known she'd come back. She didn't question it this time. She just asked, "Why do I feel like you're not telling me something?" He didn't lie. He didn't deflect. But he didn't tell the whole truth either. "Because I'm not," he said quietly. "But I will. Just not yet." And that's when the woman appeared. Briefcase. Power suit. Blonde hair pulled into a tight braid. She stood near the far bench, watching them like she was trying to decide whether to approach or disappear. When Maya looked directly at her, the woman turned and walked away. But not before slipping something into a trash can. A flash drive. Marked with a single letter. J. Now the story begins to spiral. Who was the woman? What's on the drive? Why was Maya targeted? And what is James hiding that ties him to all of this? Questions build like waves. And with every new answer, more shadows appear. But if you think you know where this story is going, think again. Because just beneath the surface of coincidence lies something far more dangerous. Something Maya never signed up for, but can't escape from now. And just when she thinks things can't get any stranger, her phone rings again. No caller ID. She answers. A voice, distorted, genderless, says one sentence. "They're watching both of you now." And then the line goes dead. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she lowered the phone. Her chest tightened, her instinct screaming something she couldn't quite name yet. She glanced at James, who had been watching her face the entire time. She could see it now, the flicker in his eyes that wasn't there before, something behind the calm demeanor. Not fear exactly, but recognition. Like the voice on the phone wasn't a mystery to him. Like he knew what it meant, and maybe even who it was. He didn't speak, but his silence gave him away. Maya stepped back. "You knew this was coming, didn't you?" she asked, the words barely a whisper. James didn't lie. Not this time. "I didn't know it would happen like this," he said slowly. "But I knew. Something was going to find us. I just hoped it wouldn't be this soon." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She replayed the events of the last 2 days over and over like a glitching movie reel in her mind. The missed train, the photo, the stranger's voice, the flash drive. She sat at her kitchen table staring at the tiny device James had recovered from the trash can. He had tried to tell her not to plug it in. "Let me handle it," he'd said, but Maya had already made up her mind. She didn't want protection. She wanted answers. Her curiosity was no longer just curiosity. It was survival. She slid the drive into her laptop and waited. The screen blinked. Then a folder opened. Inside were video files. Dozens of them, labeled by dates, times, and locations. But they weren't just random clips. They were surveillance videos. Of her. Some from weeks ago. Some from months. One from 2 years back in Indiana, right outside her grandmother's home. And in every single video, James appeared. Sometimes far in the background. Sometimes just passing by. But always there. Her heart dropped. The room swayed. Every moment she thought had been coincidence. Bumping into him at the cafe, walking the same streets. None of it was chance. Maya felt sick. Betrayed. Tracked. "You've been following me," she whispered, voice cracking. James, sitting across from her, didn't flinch. "No," he said, but even he didn't sound convinced. "I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't mean to watch you. It started with the photo. I saw you everywhere after that. I thought maybe it was just in my head. Then, a few months ago, I realized someone else was watching too. That's when I started paying attention. Not to follow you. To protect you." She wanted to believe him. Part of her did believe him. But another part, the rational, logical, never gets caught off guard part, wanted to scream. She pushed away from the table and stormed out into the street, the night air biting her skin. She didn't even hear James follow until his hand caught her arm. "There's more," he said. "Maya, this isn't just about you. Or me. There's a group, an underground network that's been watching certain people. People like you. Creative. Empathetic. Smart. But also, isolated. They track your habits. They know when you're vulnerable. They know what buttons to push. I didn't know until a few months ago. And I didn't know how deep it went. But this? The flash drive, the messages, that means it's happening now." Meanwhile, Lucas had been digging deeper into the digital trail. The files connected to Echo 29 led him to something far more disturbing than he expected. A string of missing persons cases, all tied to the same public transportation system. Young adults who disappeared without a trace, usually after seemingly innocuous encounters. People who, based on online behavior, seemed ordinary, but showed patterns. Artists. Writers. Coders. People with high creativity scores and low social interaction. Maya's name wasn't on any missing persons list, but Lucas knew she was the next target. He had tried messaging her anonymously earlier but realized he was too late. The system, the one monitoring these individuals, was always one step ahead. But now, something had changed. He noticed an anomaly. A new user had accessed the tracking server. Someone had uploaded new files. It was Maya. And that meant she'd seen the truth. Back in Maya's apartment, the lights flickered. Then cut. Darkness. Complete. Maya froze. The laptop screen dimmed, a countdown suddenly appearing in the corner. System reset. 10. 9. She yanked the flash drive out, but the screen stayed lit. James grabbed her hand. "We have to go. Now. No time to argue." They bolted into the hallway, the building unusually quiet. As they made it down the stairwell, Maya's phone lit up again. Another message. No text. Just a photo. This time, it was of her and James. Taken just seconds ago. From inside her apartment. The angle, from where her kitchen window would have been. Someone was already inside. Watching. They ducked into a nearby motel off a deserted stretch of road. A place that didn't ask questions. The kind that didn't require ID. James paced the room while Maya sat in the corner, processing the rapid unraveling of her life. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she said softly. "I was just living. I was just going to work. Taking pictures. Trying to figure out who I was. I didn't ask for this." James looked at her, eyes heavy. "Neither did I." There was a beat of silence before Maya asked, "Why me?" James sat beside her, his voice low. "Because you're rare. People like you see things others don't. You ask questions. You look at the world and see stories where others see routine. That makes you unpredictable. And that makes you a threat to them. Maya didn't know who them was exactly. Not yet. But she would. Soon. Because across the motel parking lot, in a dark van parked under a flickering streetlight, someone watched the room. 2 figures. One on a laptop. One on a headset. Target is awake. She knows, the voice said. What now? Asked the second. A pause. Then, proceed to phase 2. We don't wait for her to run anymore. We make her choose. And just like that, the real game began. Would you like the next section to push toward the climax or explore Lucas's role more deeply as he starts to intersect with Maya's journey? By the time dawn broke, the sky bleeding soft pastels across the motel window, Maya felt like a different person entirely. Everything she thought she knew, about her life, her routine, even her own instincts, had been stripped away. She sat on the edge of the bed, her eyes burning with exhaustion, but her mind sharper than it had ever been. James had fallen into a light sleep in the chair by the door, but Maya hadn't closed her eyes. Not since the message. Not since the photo. She kept thinking about the people watching them, the surveillance, the timing. But more than that, she kept circling back to a single chilling question. Why her? Why now? It wasn't random. It never had been. Lucas was the first to break the silence. His message popped up in Maya's email, cloaked in heavy encryption and buried under a seemingly benign subject line. Employment opportunities. She clicked. Inside was a single line of code, followed by coordinates, and one sentence. Asterisk, you have 90 minutes. If you want out, this is your only shot. Asterisk. Maya jolted James awake, who scanned the screen, his face tightening as he read. That's a drop location. I know it. It's not just a way out. It's a trap or a test. Maybe both. Maya stood, slipping on her coat without hesitation. Then we find out which. As they raced through the streets in a car James had borrowed from an old contact, the city around them felt different. Too quiet. Like something was holding its breath. The coordinates led them to an abandoned factory just beyond the industrial district. Rusted gates, shattered windows, weeds pushing up through concrete. It was the kind of place forgotten by progress, but remembered by those who needed secrets. Lucas was already there, standing near a rusted stairwell, his hood up, eyes scanning. When he saw Maya, something in his expression softened. You're real, he said like it surprised him. I've been tracking this network for 3 years. And every time I got close, the data disappeared. Until now. Until you. Inside the factory was a makeshift tech command center. Servers, wires, monitors still warm with recent activity. Someone had been here. Maybe still was. On the screens, Maya saw images she hadn't known existed. Conversations she didn't remember having. Audio logs. Her entire digital footprint. But it wasn't just hers. It was hundreds of people. Artists, thinkers, disruptors. All under silent observation. Lucas walked them through it, showing how the organization, known internally as the Echo Initiative, had used predictive AI and behavioral data scraped from social media, wearable tech, even smart appliances to target individuals who didn't conform. People who could potentially challenge the status quo. People like Maya. The plan, according to Lucas, wasn't immediate harm, it was erasure. Quiet removals. Subtle redirections. Lives rescripted through small interventions. Job denials, changed travel plans, delayed emails. Maya's missed train? Not a coincidence. The surveillance footage of her? Just one strand in a web built to track influence before it formed. But then Lucas showed them something even more disturbing. A file labeled Atlas Reboot. It was a future phase, set to launch in 48 hours. It would automate the erasure process using facial recognition and neural sentiment tracking. Completely AI-driven, fully autonomous. The kind of system that didn't make decisions with empathy. Only data. James, standing behind Maya, clenched his fists. We have to shut it down, he said. Lucas hesitated. There's a core server location. Underground. Off the grid. But it's not easy to reach. Security's biometric. And only a few IDs have access. I tried to spoof one and got flagged. He turned to Maya. But your profile? It's tagged differently. You're listed as a variable. They don't know what you'll do next. That's why they're watching so closely. And that's why you can get in. They moved fast. A full infiltration wasn't possible, but stealth? Maybe. Maya and James made their way to the hidden compound, buried beneath a government-branded warehouse that masked its true function. They slipped inside during a routine shift change, using an ID Lucas had cloned from a former employee now listed as disappeared. The corridors were sterile, buzzing with artificial light and distant hums. Maya's heart pounded, her fingers twitching against the fake access card in her pocket. But when they reached the server room, something unexpected happened. The door opened before she even swiped. Inside stood a woman. Blonde. Braid tight. The same one from the train station. She didn't look surprised to see them. "Maya Lin," she said smoothly. "I hoped you'd come." She stepped aside, gesturing to the glowing console behind her. "You've come for the truth. So here it is. You were never being targeted. You were being tested." Maya stared. "Tested?" The woman nodded. "We don't erase everyone. We watch. We wait. We look for people who fight back. People who ask the right questions. Most ignore the signs. You didn't. That makes you rare. And valuable." James moved forward, tense. "Valuable for what?" The woman smiled faintly. "To lead. The system is flawed. It was supposed to protect humanity from chaos. But it overreached. It needs correction. We need someone unpredictable to rewrite its rules. Someone like Maya." Everything slowed for a moment. Maya looked at the console. One button would trigger a wipe of the system. Total data purge. The other? Reboot. With her at the helm. She could rewrite the algorithm. Redirect it. Change everything. But the risk? If she failed, she wouldn't just vanish. She'd become the next face of control. A tool for the very system she wanted to destroy. She turned to James. "What if I'm not ready?" He smiled sadly. "Then you already are." And so she chose. Not the purge. Not the power. But something in between. She initiated a soft reset, rewriting the algorithm to protect the outliers, not suppress them. The system didn't crash. It evolved. And in that moment, Maya understood. She hadn't just missed a train. She had boarded a journey that was always meant for her. The kind that doesn't end with escape, but with transformation. A week later, Maya sat in a quiet park, camera in hand, watching people pass. No more messages. No more shadows. Just peace. Or so she thought. Until a child ran past her, dropping something in her lap by accident. A folded note. No signature. Just one line. Asterisk, "The system may sleep, Maya, but it never forgets." Asterisk. And that is how everything changed. Would you like help turning this full story into a YouTube video script format with voiceover cues and visuals next? Anything to stop this night from spiraling further. The wedding's music drifts faintly from the venue, a cruel contrast to the chaos unfolding among the roses. And you, the viewer, are right here with me, heart pounding, knowing we're on the brink of something massive. That voice on the phone? It's Lila, the name that dropped like a bomb just moments ago, and her call isn't a coincidence. It's the spark that's about to ignite the climax of this trending YouTube drama. Claire's hand shakes as she ends the call, her face pale, and before anyone can ask who it was, she turns to Jake, her voice barely steady. "She's here," she says, and the words land like a thunderclap. Lila's not just a ghost from the past. She's in town, and she's coming for answers, maybe even revenge. Emily's eyes dart between her sister and Jake, the letter crumpling in her grip, and Michael finally snaps, stepping forward with a glare that could burn through steel. "Enough," he says. "Someone's telling the truth right now, or I'm done protecting everyone." This is it, the moment where every secret, every lie, every hidden truth collides, and I'm talking to you, the viewer who's been riding this roller coaster of wedding chaos, forbidden love, and viral plot twists. You've been searching YouTube for a story that delivers, and I promise, this climax is gonna leave you speechless. Stick with me, because we're unraveling it all. Let's dive into the heart of this storm, because the truth about Lila, the letter, and Jake's reason for crashing this wedding is about to come crashing down. 5 years ago, Jake, Emily, Claire, Michael, and Lila were inseparable, a tight-knit group of friends with big dreams and bigger secrets. Lila was the spark of the group, bold and fearless, but she and Jake were in love, Deep, messy, all-consuming love. That is, until a night that changed everything. The scandal we've been hinting at? It was a car accident, one that left Lila injured and Jake blamed for reckless driving. The truth, though, was more complicated. Emily, struggling with jealousy over Jake and Lila's relationship, had been in the car too, and she'd egged Jake on, daring him to go faster. When the crash happened, Emily let Jake take the fall, and the group fractured. Jake left town, Lila cut everyone off, and Claire, torn between loyalty to her sister and guilt over the truth, buried her own feelings for Jake. The letter Emily's holding? It's from Lila, written months ago but only now delivered, confessing that she's forgiven Jake and begging him to come back, to set the record straight. Jake crashed the wedding not to cause trouble but to confront Emily, to clear his name, and to find Claire, the one person he's never stopped thinking about. When Claire's eyes meet his now, it's like she's seeing him for the first time, and the chemistry that's been simmering explodes into something undeniable. But Emily's not ready to face her role in the past, and Michael's got his own bombshell. He's been in touch with Lila, keeping her secret recovery a secret to protect Claire, who he's loved in silence all these years. This is the kind of trending YouTube drama that's blowing up, with romance, betrayal, and a climax that hits every emotional note. You're feeling it, right? That rush of finally getting answers, but knowing there's more to come. Here's where the stakes hit their peak, and the main conflicts start to resolve, but not without one last twist to keep you on the edge of your seat. Lila doesn't just call. She shows up, stepping into the garden with a quiet strength that silences everyone. Her presence is electric, not because she's angry, but because she's calm, her eyes locking onto Jake with a mix of pain and closure. "I didn't come to ruin your night, Emily," she says, her voice steady. "I came to let go." Lila's not here for revenge. She's here to forgive, to free herself from the past, and to give Jake the chance to do the same. Emily breaks down, sobbing as she admits her part in the accident, her guilt spilling out in a rush of apologies. Claire, torn between her sister and the truth, steps forward, taking Emily's hand but looking at Jake with a resolve that says she's done hiding. "I knew," she admits, her voice breaking. "I knew Emily was in the car, and I didn't say anything. I thought I was protecting her, but I lost you instead." The confession is a gut punch, and Jake's face softens, not with anger, but with understanding. Michael, watching it all, finally lets go of his own secret. He's been holding onto a video from that night, proof that Jake wasn't entirely to blame, and he hands it over, his shoulders slumping as he realizes he can't keep fighting for Claire's heart. The wedding guests, unaware of the drama, keep dancing inside, but out here, it's like the world's shifting, truths laying bare under the moonlight. This is why you're here, searching YouTube for stories that mix trending wedding chaos with heart-wrenching romance, and I'm delivering every second of it, keeping you glued to this viral love story. Now, for the final unexpected twist, because I'm not letting you leave without one last gasp. As the group stands there, raw and exposed, Lila pulls out another letter. Not for Jake, but for Claire. It's from their late mother, written before she passed, and it's been in Lila's keeping all these years. The letter urges Claire to chase her dreams, to stop living in Emily's shadow, and to trust her heart, no matter where it leads. Claire reads it through tears, and when she looks up at Jake, it's like the last piece of her puzzle falls into place. She's not just forgiving herself, she's choosing herself, choosing the life she's always wanted. The twist. Lila's been funding a fashion scholarship in secret, and she offers it to Claire, a chance to study in New York, to finally make her sketches a reality. Claire's stunned, but Jake's smile says he's not letting her go that easily. Not when they've just found each other. The resolution comes as Emily, humbled and healing, vows to make things right, starting with her sister. Michael steps back, giving Claire the space to choose her path, and Jake, for the first time, feels like he's home. The wedding ends not with a perfect dance, but with a messy, beautiful truth. Love isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about facing them together. You're invested, I know you are, because this is the kind of trending YouTube story that's got everyone talking, with plot twists and emotional payoffs that make you hit the like button before the video's even over. Let's wrap up the subplots and leave you with something to carry forward, because this story's not just about drama, it's about what it means to be human. Claire's fashion dreams are no longer a secret. She's taking Lila's scholarship, but she's not leaving Jake behind. They're planning to navigate the long-distance challenge, building a relationship grounded in honesty and second chances. Emily's starting therapy, working to rebuild her bond with Claire and make amends for the past. Michael, though heartbroken, finds peace in letting go, focusing on his own path, maybe even reconnecting with Lila as friends. The scandal from 5 years ago fades as the truth spreads, and Jake's name is cleared, not just in town, but in his own heart. The key takeaway? Life's messy, and love's messier, but the courage to face your truths, whether it's a crashed wedding, a buried secret, or a dream you're scared to chase, is what sets you free. This is the kind of viral YouTube love story that sticks with you, the kind you're searching for when you type